What up, everybody? Welcome back to another Tuesday night edition of Cafecito and Canes. Fully equipped with my Cafecito. Chalupa Batman's fully equipped with all his
Caffeine, baby.
caffeine and Boba Fett and Iron
Yeah.
Man and whatever
Oh,
you got behind you. It's a pretty
a,
sweet
a
setup.
little bit of everything, you know.
Mhm.
I keep my Mando, Boba Fett, Star Lord, Iron Man. You know,
Star Lord, that's who that is.
I like to surround myself with happiness. People are like, "How do you stay positive when we lose?" I'm like, "Well, I'm surrounded by toys, so I just turn the sports off and then I go look at comic books. That's how I stay positive,
Yeah.
or at least
Yeah.
that's what I say online."
Yeah, no, there's other stuff to life. But for now, for these next 30 minutes or so, we're talking football. So we're focusing on that. So
You're talking Canes.
talking some Canes football. Needless to say, these last couple of weeks have really changed my outlook for the 2024 season a lot. Because when we didn't get our quarterback, I was like, well, all right, I guess 2024 is just going to be another small step forward. Maybe we'll win 8, maybe 9 if we're lucky. Hopefully, we'll just beat Florida and I'm good. Beat Florida State. I was good with that. Just show me progress, show me a couple of big wins, and I'm okay. And let's see how Jakuri can improve. Then all of a sudden, because I don't think I've talked to you really since then.
Since it happened.
Yeah, and it's crazy that it's only been like 2 weeks. It feels like it was like months ago.
It does, right?
Right?
It
Yeah,
really does. When you
yeah.
think about it.
It was just like 2 weeks ago or 2 weeks and a couple days that we landed Cam Ward. So we got her by surprise. We got our QB1. So
And what's
go ahead.
crazy is Talia got denied his waiver.
Mm-hmm.
So,
A couple days later.
we were all thinking, I mean, okay, we can all say it now, but we were all thinking, okay, that's our fallback plan. When he entered the portal and he was going for his waiver, we were all at least thinking, okay, that's somebody solid. We were all, kind of coming around to the idea that this is probably our guy next year. And then boom, what felt like out of nowhere. I mean, I remember what's up, Dominique? I remember that bat signal. I'm thinking of 25 and 26s in my head at that point, right? Because 24 is over at this point. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what 25? What? And then, we haven't talked since. What was your reaction, bro? Like,
Okay, so this is a funny story. I think I've told it on my show already, but I'll tell you. So it was a Saturday. So it was like a couple Saturdays ago. I remember it was a long day. I'd done a lot, and I was like, I told my wife, babe, I'm gonna go down for a nap. I'm exhausted, so I just went down for a nap. Probably like around, God, what time was it? Like 6. And it was one of those that you're so cozy, you just stay in bed for a
you
couple
just
hours. Like I needed it. It was like 5 something actually. I went down for a little afternoon nap, and finally I wake up. It's a little after 7. I think the commitment dropped right at 7. It's like 7:12. I wake up and I see a ton of notifications. Discord, Twitter, all this stuff. And the first one that on your home screen, you see like the top one, and it's a
yeah.
Discord message, a Discord comment saying in caps, "We got our quarterback." And I'm like, what? I woke up to that. So I go straight to Twitter. So because I'm thinking that's that it'll be the first thing I see with the feed. I go to Twitter, and the person that's running through my mind actually is Will Rogers, because if you
Really?
remember, Will Rogers hit the portal like a couple days before that.
That's right. That's right.
So I'm like, yo, back up the Brinks truck, the whatever,
Go get him.
multiple Brinks trucks to whatever you have to do. Go get this dude. Mario, you just got a second
A
chance.
second chance. I think that's what we all thought. We were like, second chance at Rogers.
Yes, it's like when you're playing pinball. You're close to my age. You probably played pinball back in the
Oh,
day. You
heck
get that.
yeah, man. That was my game.
Yeah, you get that. Like you think you're done. You get that extra ball at the end. Oh, I got an extra life. Mario got one
It
of
was
those.
everything.
Yeah, and then I see, and it's Cam Ward's post, like from his Twitter,
Oh,
that it's his graphic that I guess I don't know who made it. I think Miami made it for him. I think the Canes made it for him, and it's Cam Ward to the U with committed, whatever. And that was the first thing I saw when I opened Twitter.
Okay, that's a hell of a way to find out.
I,
That's a
dude,
hell
I
of a way to find
literally
out.
woke up from a nap to find this out. And I knew, like, during the day, I knew something was cooking. Maybe with a quarterback, I thought maybe Tulia. I thought maybe, again, Will Rogers. I was hoping Will Rogers. So then when I woke up to that, it was nuts. But yeah.
I thought to leave when I saw people on the timeline, because everyone has to do this to people that for some reason do find out, they have to let people know, like, got our quarterback. And I'm like, okay, well, if the rumor is quarterback, I was thinking, okay, Talia. So we got, I'm literally getting the tweet ready because, you get the bat signal. And I'm like, okay, got our quarterback. Let's, get a little Talia tweet ready. And then I'm thinking in the back of my head, man, I feel like the waiver news would have broke, so you can't really
Mhm.
announce him silently because
Yeah.
the waiver news would have broken probably before Miami could have tried to sneak something in. You don't know when the NCAA is, you know what I mean, gonna grant that. So I was thinking, okay, it's got to be 25. And the way I found out is doing the constant scroll thing,
Mhm.
and then I saw Cam Ward's post, and I thought it was a fake. Because I was like, that's not possible. We didn't even hear him you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Undeclare for the draft. So I was thinking another troll got me, another fake. So I clicked the profile, and the first post under it was the going to the NFL post. And then I was like, wait a minute. Like this, I was like, this is real. And I jumped in the You Heard chat and I was like, yo, like, holy, it was honestly, I didn't really know how to react at the time because so many things were going through my head. Like, what? How is that possible? Is this real? Did he tweet this by an accident? Like, it was because there was no buzz for that. You just kept hearing people say, well, he didn't sign with an agent. So because he didn't sign for an
Mhm.
agent, his options were open. And then we started hearing, well, Auburn's calling because he didn't sign with an agent. Um, but I don't think I held on to that Cam Ward thing for a second after he said NFL. I think in my head, I'm thinking, okay, who's next? Honestly, if you could ask me day of that morning, who do you think is going to be QB1 next year? I'd have told you Talia. With Alabama and Maryland working on the waiver, I just didn't see it being Cam Ward. But that obviously changes the trajectory for this season for the Canes now that you land your guy, not your backup plan. This was the first name on their list for transfer portal targets, regardless of position. So that's got to change at least the expectations for this year.
Yeah. My first thought was, once I shook the cobwebs off and realized what happened, it's like, wow, I am never doubting Mario again
Again,
when it comes to player acquisition. I'm like, yo, he got his guy. He did it. That was
I've
my
heard
first
people
thought.
say, his Cam Ward thing was, of course, he recognized that Cam Ward fits the offense, best quarterback available. All that goes without saying. The other half of it was Mario being like, no, I've identified my guy. I'm going to get my guy. Come hella high water. Like, yes, Howard's nice, Rogers is nice, Talia's nice. I have identified my guy. And until he signs with that agent, I firmly believe that Mario did not leave him alone. What's up, Will? Mario did not leave
Yeah.
that man alone. And I think it was a smart decision. When you look at the quarterback class this year, I think we all shook our heads like, not that Cam Ward's not talented. It's just this may not be the year to come out. So I think it was a smart decision for him. Really makes you wonder what would have happened if he would have committed, in December. It really
Mhm.
makes you wonder. Not just with who everyone's first thought is on that, but even with portal receivers, Colorado was the big kid from Vanderbilt that, I know Canes fans were excited about when he entered the portal. Does Josh Kelly go to Texas Tech if he knows early that Cam Ward's going to Miami? So I think my second thought, bro, was if this was earlier, I wonder how much would have changed.
Mhm. Yeah, things could have definitely played out different with the wide receivers, but quarterback being by far the most important piece, I was good with it. I was like, you know what? There'll be another portal window after the spring. Worst case
Yep.
scenario, you land somebody then, and you got to bring up to speed a little quicker. But you bring in a veteran, that shouldn't be too much of a challenge. Um, let's see, couldn't
And
Josh Kelly
rosters are over full all around the country. It's not just us dealing with
exactly?
overcrowded rosters. Unfortunately, some of these schools are going to have to waive talented players. Maybe not, you know, wide receiver one, but some twos are going to, unfortunately, just because they're seniors, because they're grads, because we got too many young guys. It's going to happen to our roster. So I'm actually excited to see when that happens after this, or during the spring, who on other rosters maybe just doesn't, is just too much space. And we may back into a good solid contributor in the receiver room that way too.
I agree. And we were talking a little bit before the show that you were saying you're not so sure with what we heard a little earlier with Jacoby, and that Caneville posted on Twitter that, hey, it's everything seems to be cool. Jacoby's working with the team and whatever, that we may not need another guy in that receiver room, assuming Jacoby sticks around and gets his head on straight and does what he should do. But I'm kind of with you in the sense that, look, I want to keep it in house as much as possible. The less we have to supplement through the portal, the
The
better.
better. Yes.
You're always going to have to go get 5, 7, 8 guys. You're always going to have to plug up some holes, because why not? But I want to keep it as much in house as possible. But that being said, Short Stack's asking, couldn't Josh Kelly enter again after the spring? Do you know the rule here?
So I don't know the rule that if I'm not mistaken, you get one free one, right? I don't think Josh could enter again because he entered this year as a grad transfer, I believe. So
Okay.
I don't think he could. I don't think he could enter again. That I'm gonna be honest. I wanted him regardless of what quarterback we landed. I just thought he was just a playmaker on the outside. But here is why. So I looked this up the other day, and here's why I think we could do well with the receivers we have in the room. The top three receivers for Cam Ward last year: Kyle Williams, 6 foot, 187, 61 catches, 842. Josh Kelly, 6'1", 192. And me and John both think whoever did that is his best friend. Because I don't, and that's no disrespect. He's one of my favorite players in college football. That's not a Cane, but he just doesn't look 6'1", 6'2". But 61 catches, 923. And then Lincoln Victor, 5'9", 180, 89 catches, 860. That's why I think the body style and the type of receiver he's used to excelling with, that's Robbie, that's Ray, that's Jacoby, X. Yeah, I think we have that's JoJo, Chance, Nye. They fit that 5'10" to 6'1", 6'2", 150 to 180 body style. And that's what he excelled with at Washington State. So I do think we have the guys in the locker room. And I think he'll be good for some of the younger burners too. Guys like Robbie, guys like Ray. We know he likes stretching the ball down the field. So I think when they do get in for those reps, I think he'll be good for them because Cam likes to push the ball down the field. So we didn't have a quote unquote deep threat last year. I think, his deep ball accuracy and his ball placement, how do you not let him loose? And I think that's where somebody like Robbie may earn a role in the offense this year, or Shamar Kirk,
Mhm.
Naikara, who's faster than the actual Flash. I think, yeah, I think we got some guys in the room. We just don't have the experience. I think that's why I do understand when people are saying, but we need a vet, and I'm like, wow, that I understand. Sometimes you just need someone who understands how to get open through experience. So, there's the junior college receiver. I do like him, but then the question is, how long does it take before he sees the field? So,
Yeah, that dude
Leland
right there,
Smith, yeah,
Leland Smith.
his measurables are insane. And I like him, but then the question is, how long does it take him to get acclimated? Our junior college guys seem to redshirt for a full season. Demetrius Freeney last year, Shamar Kirk, Colby Young really only played that first year because everyone got hurt.
Right.
But he was basically on track to not really see the field that first year. So that's why I worry about the junior college guys, because I think their plan is to redshirt those guys for a full year,
Yeah, and Leland Smith, I don't think would come in until after summer if we were even to get him.
which hurts him
So
getting on the field early as well.
yeah, no, it's pretty much makes it impossible, at least the first half of the season. That's not going to
Yeah.
happen. So yeah, if we could look, if you go out and get me like a, I don't know, like a KJ Osborne, oof, plug a guy like that.
Like,
Put
yeah.
KJ Osborne into a time machine and put him in this
And
receiver room with Cam Ward throwing him the ball. It would be stupid. Are you kidding me?
it would be a highlight reel is what it would be. But to your point, I think Mario's done a good job where he's not having to search for I need a guard, I need a linebacker. It's sprinkling on top of the team now. He can look for a KJ Osborne, he can look for a veteran. He doesn't have to. Some of these teams in the portal had to staff their roster this year. Their starting lineups, they're
Yeah,
in this state. They had to go get starters that are gonna
multiple
play
starters. Yeah,
multiple.
yeah.
Colorado had to go get a whole new offensive line. Mario, it was okay. Let's get a veteran center, right? But the rest of the offensive line is fine. But let's get the veteran center. We don't have to get three new starters on the offensive line. Even the defensive players we got. When you look at a guy like who's one of my favorites that we got is Elijah Alston. I think that's Mario going, well, we don't need another pass rusher, right? But let's let Kelly and Mesidor come back at their own pace. Let's not give them too many snaps early so we get another versatile guy that can play defensive end, that can play linebacker. To your point, it's not filling out the whole roster with transfer portal guys. It's more bang for your buck. It's getting quantity over quality.
Hmm. Yeah, and for those who weren't too familiar with Elijah Alston, I think he had like I'm trying to remember what the number was, a super high PFF edge rushing grade for like the whole. It
It
was like
was like
90 or
something,
something,
yeah, it was
like
something in the 90s.
90.1 or something like
Yeah,
that.
it was
Which is,
crazy.
if you're not in the weeds like I am with PFF grades, 90 and above is elite,
Yeah,
like
that's insane.
elite. At 90 and
That
above, 80, low 80s is like really really good. The way they grade it.
Yeah, 90's
Uh,
insane.
yeah, 90 was um, Cam Kinchens' overall rating his sophomore year when he was first team All American.
So
So
that should put that into perspective for you.
that's
Yeah.
like you are a first rounder. That's that kind of grade. But yeah, aside from Elijah Austin and aside from the obvious Cam Ward, who like is there anybody else in particular that you're really excited about for this last wave of acquisitions?
I was excited about both the DBs. Now, obviously, we had already had Savion Riley, but I have to learn how to say. I think it's Michelle Powell. I'm
I
not
just
sure.
say Mish Powell. I
Mish
just go by
Powell.
his
There we go.
nickname.
Powell, I like for several reasons. We needed a veteran presence in the back end because we lost. Oh, the D end room's crazy. Because we lost, not just two starters, two leaders in the locker room. So I
Mm-hmm.
think we needed a veteran presence. Powell's been there, done that. He's coming from a team that just made a national championship run. He comes from a pass-heavy Pac-12. We know he's seen a bunch of football. We know he's seen a bunch of crazy route combinations and spread offenses. I think he brings leadership and a veteran presence to a safety room that was incredibly young. Markeith Williams, big fan. Jaden Harris, big fan. Caleb Spencer, big fan, but they're young. They're all young. So I think Powell, to me, that one was huge. A guy that physical with, again, versatility, can play nickel, can play safety. And he just brings a wealth of knowledge to that room that now there's someone in the room they can ask questions to now.
Mm-hmm.
Beforehand, who do they ask the questions to in the safety room right now? Before you get a guy like Powell, he can make things make sense to guys like Jaden Harris, to a guy like Zaquan Patterson, who has a skill set very similar to Powell, can now has a veteran presence in that room to learn from. That one made me really happy. What about you? Did you have one that you were like, yes?
Yeah, Mish Powell for me, he would be the one that I point to because Savion Riley, he's a nice pickup as far as experience and a guy that can develop into a nice player. But still has a way to go as far as gaining that experience because I think he's coming in as a redshirt sophomore. I think he only played 1 year so far. But you needed that guy, you needed that pickup. But then going into the like towards the end of the portal window, people were worried about the safety position. I wasn't super worried, to be honest with you, just because I think we're going to be great at corner. People are kind of forgetting what Daryl Porter did last year, and then
The most
Damari
underrated
Brown.
corner.
Porter and Brown are going to be maybe the best corner tandem in the conference. I think that's certainly arguable. Let's see if they prove me right. I think they're going to be the best corner tandem in the conference.
I'd put money on it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to be nasty. You have shutdown corners. You don't have to worry about safety so much. You have studs. You have a front four that can get to the quarterback. You don't have to worry about safety that much. So I wasn't that concerned. But then we go and land Niche Powell, who was starting in the national championship game, who was making plays, throughout the season. Veteran, leader, has been on the big stage, the biggest of stages. It's like, for many reasons, I was like, okay, I wasn't really worried about the safety room to be good. Now I'm excited about the safety room.
Now you're excited about the safety room.
You got him. You got Riley. And then you got Markeith, Caleb, Jaden, a lot of guys that are going to compete now. Now the cream will rise to the top. You know what I'm saying? So
I like this question.
Yes, I was going to ask you this next. Yeah. What do you think? I still think he wouldn't make the starting five. Just because he hasn't played for so long.
I don't think so. I think left tackle is still Rivers. I think it's going to be Rivers at left tackle. I think McCoy probably at guard, depending on what happens with Chalupa from Washington. He apparently had a great visit. Well, we haven't heard anything yet, so we can't plug anybody in that's not on the team. But I'm thinking Rivers, McCoy, Carpenter, Cooper, and then Maui Noah with the swing tackle, depending on how Sampson's injury heals and if he's ready for the season. I'm thinking McCoy will be the swing tackle.
Yeah. Honestly, right now I have McCoy as my left guard. If it was like that's the starting five. I mean, the only way to answer your question, or the person's question in the chat, the only way Zion I think gets on the field as a starter at this point is if he switches to guard or something.
Yeah,
nothing against him. I think he was a solid tackle when he was healthy, but it's just we've brought in so much talent, and now you got Markel Bell, this monster tackle.
Oh my God! I think we have slept as a fan base on that dude. 6'8".
He's a monster.
He's a monster.
And he's just chilling there on the bench for now. And then you got Tommy Kinsler, who's a future star at tackle, who's another monster.
Antonio Tripp learning inside, learning center, learning guard.
Yeah. Antonio Tripp. You got Nino, they really like a lot at center. There's just too many guys.
Plaz moving inside.
Yeah, right now, left to right, it's Rivers, McCoy, Carpenter, Cooper, and Maui Noah. You can pretty much
that's
you don't even have to worry about the right side. I think we're fine there. And
find me a better right side.
It's again in the ACC. It's going to be tough to find a right side that's better than that.
That's better than that.
It's going to be tough. Jalen Rivers. I mean, you essentially have an NFL left tackle. Like a mid-round NFL left tackle. We're solid there. So I don't know. I'm just concerned with building more depth. That's it.
All hell Mirabal, man. That guy. He's just the best, dude.
They know what they're doing, bro. And what's crazy is that Coach Mirabal was teaching high school history when he got the call from, I think it was from Cristobal to go coach at FIU. Then he went from FIU to Marshall and then linked back up with Mario at Oregon. So it hasn't been that long that he's been doing this, man.
Every time I talk to an offensive lineman, so I had it's not coming out for a few weeks, but Caden Strayhorn, 4-star offensive lineman from IMG, probably talked for 10 minutes about Mirabal.
Yeah.
7 of it was how great of a teacher he is. Like every time I talk to one of the offensive linemen, they talk about how good of a teacher he is. And I think his passion for teaching comes from his passion for being a former teacher.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And believe me, I've seen him at work. He is like a stickler for like details, like the smallest details, which makes sense because I mean the smallest thing with technique can, I mean, that dude is by you. You know what I'm
That dude
saying?
is by yep, or you're off balance, you're on skates now, your
Yeah.
footwork's not
So
right.
no, no, no. He is a stickler for that. And as far as people, talking great things about him, if you go, I want to say the first episode that Orange Bowl Boys, if you listen to their podcast, I listen from time to time, and they had Joaquin Gonzalez on right after Mario was hired. So this is a while back.
Really?
They had Joaquin Gonzalez on short time after Mario was hired, and he talked a good chunk about Mirrorball. It's like one of the first guys I mentioned in my Hall of Fame speech. I'm guessing it was for Hall of Fame. I don't know if, well, or Columbus in high school, one of the two. Is like first guy I mentioned for my Hall of Fame speech was Alex Mirrorball.
Holy
Joaquin Gonzalez, bro, one of the goats.
I think it, bro, when you're that good of a coach, it kind of, I don't want to say it transcends. How do I make this make sense? Offensive linemen don't have stats per se, right?
Mm,
So sometimes the measure of a great offensive line coach is that word of mouth. It is the Penei Sewells, it is the Joaquins, it is the plot. It's those guys that's his legacy. It's easy for us to look at Kevin Beard and go, okay, well, 1,000-yard receiver, blah blah blah. But when it comes to an offensive line coach, I feel like having a legacy where everyone that you've touched, no matter what, no matter when, makes it a point, whether they're asked or not, to
mm-hmm.
give you flowers. That to me, that's the true measure of a coach, of a teacher. And when it is an offensive line coach, it's hard to measure that.
Yeah.
The way I measure that is you listen to how people talk about him. And they
Mm-hmm.
talk about, it's almost like they gained a best friend who like gave them the secrets of the galaxy. That's how they talk
Mm-hmm.
about him. And even recruits that don't sign here, or we're not in their top 5, he's still watching film and sending them tips and do this and foot play. I think teaching is so ingrained in his DNA that he can't help but do it.
Yeah. Agreed. Galaxy King. I've had his question on here for a while. Let me answer it before I go off on
It's a
another
good one
tangent.
too.
Yeah, where are we at on depth at the X and Z positions? Slot were good, but I'm concerned about the outside flanker depth. I am a little concerned about the depth on the outside.
Yeah, it's a
I
good
mean,
question.
assuming we got Jacoby for next year. I think that's a solid starter right there. You do lose Kobe Young, but you're kind of hoping that Isaiah Horton takes that next step. There's your guy. But then after that, yeah, we're a little thin on the outside.
I think that's the question is, can Isaiah Horton fully step into that role,
Yeah.
or will it be a two by committee situation? And you do also have Shamar Kirk, who we didn't see a lot of last year, junior college transfer that transferred in last year. So we got Shamar Kirk, you got Isaiah Horton. I I think some of the young guys are going to have to step up and earn some significant playing time. And when I say young guys, I don't necessarily mean Robbie and Ray Ray. I mean Chance, nah, maybe even JoJo. I feel like, because I think JoJo would be better as a slot guy, is just move JoJo around. But I feel like that second receiver spot, there's some reps for the taking. I feel like a
Mm-hmm.
guy with a bigger body like Chance, 6'2", he's thick. His body looks like it's already ready for the college game. I
Yeah.
feel like that may be where he could sneak in and get a few snaps. Kind of like how Isaiah Horton this year would make the most. We didn't see Isaiah Horton a ton, but we got to see Isaiah anytime the ball was thrown his way. He made the most out of his targets. I feel like that's something we need from somebody else, because I do agree on paper with the experience, it looks like, man, we're a little thin on the outside. Now, of course, you can play Robbie on the outside. Those guys know how to do everything. But when you think of your prototypical X and Z, we do kind of lack it when it comes to, having that junior, having that senior. So I think it'll open it up. Spring ball is going to be interesting. I think the reps that we see will be very interesting in spring. Who's getting
Mm-hmm.
those reps behind Isaiah Horton? Is even Isaiah Horton the starter. I think that'll be very interesting because that's a spot that's up for the taking. I think that can be had very much how, we went into spring last year going, okay, who's that other corner? That spot can be had if someone will step up and take it. Jaden Davis obviously emerged. I think that'll be what we see this year is who's going to emerge on that other side because hopefully Jacoby, keeps his head on straight. Big fan of three, just needs to keep his head on straight. And I think we got the guys in the building that'll do so. Mario does not seem like he puts up with a lot of fuss. So I'm pretty sure Mario will get that right.
Mhm.
But it's the other so you don't want everyone rolling coverage to X and Jacoby on every play. So you do need that threat on the other side. What do you think about this though, John? If the tight end gets involved this year, maybe that helps the second guy, right? Maybe we can use the young guys a little bit on that other side if we have that threat in the middle of the field.
Yeah, that's a big if.
That's a
I
massive
would
if.
love to use the tight end a lot more as a receiver and not just a blocker, because as great of a blocker as Cam McCormick was, one of the best blocking tight ends in the nation. Um, every time he stepped on the field, you knew exactly what the play was going to be. So that's not good. And you gotta use them on more than just checkdowns. And to be fair, I think some of it was on the quarterback play. I think TVD at times had open tight ends on certain plays and just didn't see them or didn't look their way. So, you can't totally blame the coordinator. Just like, looking back at the Josh Gaddis season, that was a disaster, obviously, for many reasons. But now we know. Now we saw a full sample size of TVD. It's like, yeah, you know what? Maybe it wasn't all on Gaddis. A
Yeah.
good chunk of it was.
Yes. No, he has his blame, but
But what was he working with a quarterback? His offensive line was in shambles because of injuries. So I think if you got a guy like a Cam Ward who is going to scan the field a lot like in 2020 when De'Ara King was here. One thing I love that De'Ara King did when he had time in the pocket, he went through 4 or 5 reads like really quick.
dude,
You
watching
remember that?
Cam Ward's highlights, I kept telling people, look at his head. Just watch his head. Just the happiness I felt knowing my future quarterback is scanning the field. John, he'd have plays where he knows he's throwing this post or this slant, but he still would open up to the left just
Uh-huh.
to give the safety. I need you to cheat just a little bit to give me the throwing window. And it was like,
Yep.
oh my gosh, the little things. The extending plays with his legs, not just to run, but to buy more time for receivers, I think that's going to be huge too. I think that's going to be massive. The question that a lot of people have had, and I want to get your take on it. You think Dawson will open the offense up a bit more this year?
I think he will, just because of trust in the quarterback. Um, I think it was a little too much. This is my opinion, although I think this has become the consensus that a lot of times when it went super lockdown conservative, that a lot of that was Mario, or Mario's influence on the play call. I think a lot of that was going on for sure.
I think so too.
And I think there was reasons for that. TVD had a gajillion injuries. He was the Tin Man out there. The fact that he was even out there honestly was impressive.
Yeah, the more
With
we learn, the thing about the thigh, and it was like, what?
the thigh, the knee, the finger, the torn ligaments in his finger, his shoulder, it was he
He
physically
was put
was a
together
mess.
with duct tape. Yeah.
He was put together with duct tape. Yeah, exactly. Paper clips, bubble gum, and spit. And it was impressive that he even walked out there. But the fact that that's what you had to deal with, I can kind of look back and understand. Okay, I see why you wanted to get through some of these ACC games just running the football. But we didn't quite have the squad to do it yet. Now, year 3, that Georgia Tech game, play it the same way now with this roster, just running the ball a lot, maybe throwing the ball, here and there. Now you win that game by 10 points, 14 points. It's not coming down to a knee, So, yeah.
I think having
Sorry.
a healthy Fletch would help too in the fourth quarter next year. Hopefully, we get Citizen back as well. I think Citizen being back would I just want to. I think at this point we're all just rooting for that guy. We just want to see 6 on the field.
Yeah. That's the spring is going to be big and very telling for a guy like Citizen. I don't know or think Fletcher is going to be healthy for the spring. From
You've
what
been
I've
so
heard,
quiet about.
they've been super quiet about it. From what I've heard, like on Dono's show and a couple other shows, that the consensus is, or the understanding is, that don't expect him for spring, but he should be ready for the season. They're like, all
Okay,
right,
I'm okay with that.
as long as he's ready for Gainesville, I'm good. You know, as long as he's 100% and
I'm
he's
good.
Fletcher, I'm good. You got, bro, him and Citizen as a 1-2 combo would be nice. But let's hope Citizen comes along. He stays healthy because he's had setbacks along the way. It's been very frustrating with Citizen.
Yes, it has. And think about this too. The same way with the receivers, Fletch not being in the spring, Chris Johnson's going to get a lot of reps. You know, I think we all want to see Chris Johnson a little bit more next year. He's going to get a ton of reps this spring with no Fletcher. We'll probably see some of the young running backs get, Jordan Lau coming in early. We'll probably see a lot of reps for some of the younger guys, and that just helps their development. But I'm excited for CJ. I'm excited to see CJ get more reps this spring. And, that 1-2 punch, Fletch and CJ, oh, but a guy, and you start implementing some running back screens with CJ this year, that would be absolutely explosive.
No, talk about thunder and lightning. That's I don't think people. Well, anybody who like stayed and watched the Bethune Cookman game all the way to the end and saw
Got to see
Chris Johnson's speed on full display. I mean,
it's real Olympic speed. It's real deal. People say Olympic speed. No, this is actual documented Olympic speed on the football field. And what's crazy is he makes it look effortless. The change of direction, the ability to stop on a dime and moving that fast. I think he's going to be exciting. We've got so much speed and that versatility with guys like him and Robbie and Hellcat and Nikar. I'm excited to see them give Cam Ward the toys and see what we do. I don't agree, Jay Sling, and let me tell you why I don't agree. Because Cam Ward had a fantastic season last year and had one receiver that was over 6 foot, and it's Josh Kelly, and I want him measured again.
Yeah. Well, I think he is agreeing with what you're saying, because I had to.
Oh, well, then we do agree with each other.
Yeah, he
That's
said
true.
we have to stop thinking sub 6 foot receivers can't play outside. And I thought about this earlier in the show, and I wanted to bring it up. Thank you, Jay Singh. Look at the receivers today that are dominating in the NFL. Jamar Chase. How tall is Jamar Chase?
Jamar Chase can't be more than 6'2".
I don't think he's even 6'2".
He cannot be more than 6'2". 6 foot?
He's 6 foot.
Stephon Diggs
is smaller.
Diggs is listed at, every time you search Diggs, everything else comes up. 6 foot, 190. He's not. If Jamar Chase is 6 foot, Diggs is not. But okay, ESPN. So yeah, 6 foot. I agree, Sing. I think that's kind of the 6'4", 6'5" receivers. Yeah, that hasn't been the norm for a while.
That's what I'm saying. Like I'm trying to think of the last group of players like in the NFL, for example. Marvin Harrison Jr. I think is like 6'3". He's a bigger guy, but
he's your prototypical one. When people think one in their head.
Yeah, but like those guys that are 6'4" but can do it all, that have the speed and all that, those guys are more rare than you think.
They play edge rusher now.
Right.
They don't
exactly.
They see, how tall is CeeDee Lamb?
CeeDee Lamb, he's taller, I think.
He's lanky too, so he's 6'2".
6'2". Okay, another guy. I just looked him up. Justin Jefferson, 6'1".
Amon-Ra St. Brown. When you look at the top receivers in the league, it's pretty rare that you see the AJ Greens now.
Yeah, they're not more. None of them are more than 6'2". Honestly,
they play edge rusher now. Those guys are rushing the passer now. They're Booker Pickett Jr. It's the same why you don't see running backs that big. They play linebacker now. They're a Darius Hayes.
Yeah.
That used to be the running back.
Right
That's
in
it.
my backyard,
There you
Tyreek
go.
and Jalen Waddle.
There you
Both
go.
guys are under 6 feet.
Um,
I think Waddle's listed as 6 feet, but I don't buy that for a second.
Jackson Smith and Jigba from Ohio State, Garrett Wilson. If you even look at some of the more recent receivers, but I do think it is important to have that different body style. So you do want the Colby Young. You know what I mean? You do
If he's
want that.
out there, no, if he's out there for sure, go get him. But it's like I don't think they should just be looking for that. Like Jacoby George, he's maybe 6 foot. The game he had against Florida State, I don't know if you remember this one particular play when he scored the touchdown, like from a few on a little fade route. Go back, and the viewers who maybe haven't paid attention to this little detail, go back and watch that play and keep your eye on Jacoby the entire time. The little move, that shoulder fake he puts on that corner and like almost sat him on his butt.
That Kevin Beard hop step hesitation move is undefeated.
Yeah. He put the slickest little move on him and was by him. Like the corner didn't even know what happened. And I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. And you don't need to be 6'5" to do that.
I've seen Cooper Kupp win goal line fades.
Yeah.
You need separation. That's what you need.
You need skill. It's not just size. And another play I bring up a lot, 2017 against Virginia, that game that Jaquan Johnson had the pick six. I don't know if you remember that game. This one particular
guy, man.
Yeah. This one particular play happened in front of me. It was Amon Richards, who our offense was sleepwalking through this game. I think we scored this touchdown to make it 7-7. Amon Richards, I sit right by the end zone, and it was a fade. Malik Rozier threw up a little fade to him, and everyone in the building knew it was going to him because he had one-on-one coverage. I'm like, this is a fade to the corner, to the pylon. Threw a big, fade back shoulder. I'm telling you, Amon Richards is no more than 6'1.5", maybe. He went up like he was 6'7" to go up and get that ball. Again, you don't have to be a giant to do that. You just have to be better than the guy in front of you.
You just have to have the skills. JoJo's another one that's very good at goal line fades. If you watch a lot of Chance Robinson probably has the best ball tracking ability I've seen in that class. It's very much like a baseball player. Mm-hmm. Him at the goal line, he is amazing when it comes to those goal line fades. And when you do have a guy that can create separation that quickly, like Jacoby, off the release, you don't need to be 6'4". If I give you enough separation for you to put that ball over my shoulder, that's all the quarterback really needs. And I think a guy like Cam Ward, whose ball placement on fades is just spectacular. Again, he lit it up last year with guys who were sub 6'1". So I think he'll be okay. But I like having Jacoby or Colby Young in the red zone too. That does help when it's just like, okay, you don't even got to be better, just be bigger. It does help. Then you get creative. Flex Riley out the way they used to do, Jimmy Graham, right?
I don't know why they're not doing that more.
Absolute mismatch problem because that linebacker can't get off the line with him.
I think that was a missed opportunity with Jaleel Skinner, to be honest with you.
Oh,
to line him up out wide.
Jumbo receiver. Why not? That's why that story, there had to be more.
He must have really just not been performing in practice, something like that. Aaron, totally agree with you. I see what you're saying.
100% agree here.
All those guys are from 20 years ago, 15 years ago. Jerry Rice, 30 years ago. We're saying that's the past. The new guys, the Justin Jeffersons, the Jamar Chases, guys like that are a little smaller and quicker now. And they play on the outside. They're prototypical slots, but they all play on the outside.
And guys so if you told somebody like Nye Carr, like you're a slot receiver, he'd probably tell you, I didn't really take many snaps in the slot, at all.
Nowadays, no, and it's matchups now. The way offenses are run.
Yes.
You're trying to find the mismatch. That's the way it is. You're trying to find the mismatch where this guy gets butt naked wide open for like a second or two. That's the play. It's that Shanahan style offense where I'm trying to get this first read wide ass open.
And to Aaron's point, yes, the elite that body style still produces elite receivers. You just don't see it as much. It's why everyone in the world wanted Jeremiah Smith. Yeah, it's that DK
He's
Metcalf
rare.
body.
Yeah.
That body is still elite. So don't take any of this as us saying that that guy is not still coveted. You just don't see that guy enough. It's rare that we see the Derrick Henry running back now. They used to be, you'd see 4 or 5 of them in a class. You just don't see that body style no more. Those guys play defensive end, they play rush end, they play linebacker, they play safety.
Hmm. Yeah. Casey Florida says, why y'all think FSU has this false bravado about UM? Well, I mean, they did just have an undefeated season, but to pick up the pieces and try to do it again, it's going to be tough. If you compare Mike and Mario, first 2 years, Mario smokes him in everything. Um, they just want to do Mike's last two versus Mario's first two. I don't get it. That's a great point.
2
Go ahead.
words: recency bias. That's what it is. It's
Yeah.
recency bias. That's all it is. Because they went 13-0. It's recency bias. You cannot tell me that after their first 2 years of Norvell, they were thinking,
And they all
this is our
wanted him fired.
Saban.
They all wanted him fired.
Twitter's
Everybody.
forever, people. Twitter's forever. So you can't tell me that those fans were thinking this is our Saban 2 years in. No, it's recency bias. It's the same way that after 5 and 7, the program will never be back. It's recency bias. You kind of judge things, and we're all guilty of it. You judge things off what you last saw. You're only as good as your last game. It's that mentality. It's not fair, obviously, because you should judge the first two versus the first two. You should judge his first recruiting class versus Mario's first, and down the line. They went undefeated and they beat us, so they have bragging rights. But yeah, it's revisionist history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All of a sudden, they act like the 3-9 season was like 27 years ago. No, it was very recent. So
Florida loved their coach in the spring. We all remember. You remember when they had that high recruiting class, and Napier was, that was their guy. They loved Mertz before the season started.
This is like the third year in a row that's happened where, I mean, even like Manny Diaz's last class, that I think that was his last season. So that was the one that it kind of fell apart, and then Mario came in and put it back together. But that class I remember, and the last three, it's like in the spring we have a few 3-stars. We got like one blue chipper. It's not looking great. We're ranked like 58th. But then come signing day, number 7 class. We do this, and Florida kind of does that.
And they don't learn because
No.
someone in the 25 class, and they were like, killing y'all. I'm like, you haven't learned? We're in the spring. It's every year. So it's recency bias, because this time last year, they were beating the drum for Napier, and now they can't wait to get him out of there. That's all it is. It's recency bias. If Norvell falls on his face this year, then they'll say the same things we say. Oh, he only won because of the portal, and they're just not saying it now. But if he falls on his face this year, they'll say it. It's just like, if we're successful, no one's going to mention the knee. If Mario turns this around and, he has a 10-win season, 9, 10, 11, 10, no one's going to go back and go, oh, remember when he was a good recruiter, but we were questioning his coaching skills? It's recency bias.
Mm-hmm. Look, I lived through this with Butch Davis. Like, you bring up the timeout usage and all that stuff. Yeah, look, this is not the first time we've dealt with this. Some of the younger fans might not have been around or not remember, but yeah, Butch made a lot of questionable calls. A lot of times that we maybe should have gone for it on 4th and 1 and didn't, or shouldn't have and we did, or we should have called a timeout here to conserve some clock and we didn't. There was a ton of that along the way.
Dude, I remember being a Ja'Cory Harris fan, still is till this day. It's probably one of my favorite Miami players, and watching him have to run an offense in the old school pro style I formation, thinking, what if they put him in the gun and spread it out more and ran, something quicker? Because during that time you're watching, the West Virginias and the Hawaiis and the U of H's, and the spread offense is really catching on. And then I'm watching Ja'Cory have two wide receivers on a route. And like, so sometimes when people are like Dawson, I'm like, look, man, I've sat through some stuff.
People forget how bad it was. I mean, I know that the record isn't much better. It was another 7-6 season, but look, I can't remember in 20 years us being the tougher team in the trenches, because
Yeah.
you need to have that before anything if you really want to win big. We were always soft in the trenches, always. So thankfully that was fixed, and we'll end on this. But like, I think people forget. They say, "Oh, Cristobal's game day coaching is the worst in college football." Do you remember how bad Randy Shannon was? We
Oh
we
my
were
gosh.
For those who might have forgotten, and look, all the respect to Randy and for
Love him. He's a Cane, so we love him.
he was a great defense. He was a great linebacker, amazing linebacker coach. I mean, he had freaking Hall of Famers he was coaching.
Good
Um,
defensive coordinator.
really good defensive coordinator. I liked him as a D coordinator. Couldn't run a program. Game day coach. I shit you not. He would. You probably remember this. He would burn all 3 timeouts in the third quarter.
When I hear something funny about that is people make fun of Mario for not calling his timeouts. I said something to my dad. I was
Randy
like,
was
Dad, we
worse.
used to have a coach who believed in using all of them as soon as he could, and now we have a coach who thinks he gets points for keeping them. It's we can't find a happy medium.
It was so bad. I remember the fans, and like I was at games in the stands screaming, like, "What are you doing?" Like, and also guys talk about game day management. Guys couldn't get lined up right. Multiple delay of game penalties. It was like so disorganized. Al Golden wasn't that much better. It was the same
It was a
garbage.
shit show. And I was so happy, man. Oh God, I don't want to relive that because I thought Al Golden was gonna be what Mario Cristobal has turned out to be.
Yeah.
I thought he was, and now now he's a defensive coordinator at Notre Dame, and they lost the game because they had 10 men on the field when it mattered. So that
And
should
like
let you know.
three guys on the line of scrimmage. Yeah.
That
No, no,
should
no.
let you know what it was like here.
Game day
And none of us were
management.
surprised.
No,
None
no,
of us
no.
were surprised when that happened to Notre Dame. We were like, "Oh yeah, that sounds about right." Yeah.
Yeah. No, no, no. The game day management for a solid decade, Randy Shannon to Al Golden, was awful. Like, people forget. In comparison, I mean, I know Mario has a lot to work on, but
Yes,
it
yes.
wasn't. It wasn't that.
He
Okay,
could
so
teach them how to be a game day coach. And I think he'll get better. I think he'll get better. I think also having an analyst would help, but I think Mario's gonna grow with the team too. You know what I mean?
I think so. And even if he gets to like halfway decent, mediocre at time management, it's going to be like the Butch thing all over again. You bring in these waves of talent, good quarterback play, good coordinators, you're going to win. Like, not taking a knee is not going to matter if you're up by 24. You know,
There you go. We we never really concern ourselves with how coaches manage games when they win. I've
when they're up
never
3
heard
touchdowns, yeah.
Yeah, I've never heard nobody say the way Nick Saban manages a game though. Like,
No, he
no,
just
you've never
bludgeons
heard
people.
that. Yeah, because for a long time in Bama, he just destroyed everyone. I think the team does get better, and they take some of those decisions away from Mario. But I think just like just like the young guys will, Mario will learn from those things too. So will Shannon Dawson. I think, and they're all learning how to coach together too. I think we're gonna see a better staff this year, and I like our staff. I
Yeah,
love our staff, and I just think they're gonna be that much better this year.
yeah. I'll squeeze in this question real quick. Had a question about Tyler Harrell. Is he still here? I think he's gone. I think he just had 1 year left
Yeah, I
this
thought he
past
only
season.
had 1 year left.
Yeah, I think it was his sixth and final year, and that's it.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, we haven't heard anything, but I don't think we will. No disrespect to Tyler Harrell, but you don't always hear everyone who's graduating. So but I don't believe he has
I think
time left, even if he wanted to.
going into the season, I think I remember them saying he just has 1 year. That's it.
That's what I thought. I
Yeah.
thought he only had the one because he transferred to Bama,
Yeah.
right?
To Bama? I think he transferred to, yes, he was Louisville, then Bama, then
Yeah,
here.
And yeah, so I think that was it. I think that was his last year, and that
Yeah,
didn't work.
which is unfortunate. He has so much speed. I thought he was going to be a factor this year.
Me too. But like my buddy, like Joe always says, we're not in the building. So something was going on in those practices as to why Tyler Harrell didn't get on the field.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. We'll squeeze in one more. Last minute dono. Thank you, Frederick, for the support. Fellas, just watch. I'm going to watch it probably right after this. Just watch
Yeah,
Jakari
me too.
Brown's interview on the Momentum podcast. This guy's a class act. It's a must watch, very insightful.
Yeah,
I
I'm
will. I'll
tapping
jump on
into
that.
that the second we get off of here.
Yeah, yeah. All right, man. Well, let me let you go. I actually kept you on like a solid 20 minutes longer than I intended. I
Ah,
apologize,
it's
but
okay. You know I never mind, man.
yeah, we go off on you. You and I could probably talk for hours.
Yeah,
But
for literally an hour, like hours. And it's probably my fault. I am known as the person that extends every conversation. And then when it's you, I'm like, I don't want to start talking to my bro. So
yeah, anytime, man. Look, you're welcome on the show anytime, obviously. But please, I know most of the guys in the chat probably know who you are and they know about your stuff. But if they don't, please give a quick plug.
I think it's youtube.com at Chalupa Sports now, but if you type in Chalupa Batman, you'll find the videos. I've got interviews with recruits. Cole McConaughey was the most recent Kane I've had on. And then the You Heard Pod, new episodes drop every Monday and Wednesday. Me, Joe, and Ben, we have a lot of fun on that. I think they're going to be breaking down the Jacory interview tomorrow night live. So that'll be cool. Also, tomorrow night, I'm gonna do a live stream for Jordan Lau because when Jordan Lau flipped, I didn't do a live, so I'm gonna do a live stream tomorrow night. We'll watch Jordan Lau's highlights, chat, talk about Jordan Lau. It was a big flip, and haven't gotten a chance to watch him on stream, so I'm like, I'm gonna go back and try to hit some of those commits that I didn't do lives for. So do that tomorrow, and obviously, like I say every time, support everybody. Support John, support everybody that does this in Canes Media. They're all super dope. So if you're in the chat right now, like and subscribe. I know John's YouTube tells him the same thing mine does. A lot of y'all don't be subscribed. And y'all be on every video, but y'all are not subscribed.
Just hit
Subscribe
the
to the
button. Hit the little
channel.
button.
Hit the button. And
This
John
is
does lives. So hit the
yeah.
notify bell so that you know when he goes live. Because you don't want to be that person that's my bad, I didn't catch it. Hit the notify bell. Video's over now. Do it right now.
Yeah. All right, man. Thanks for being on again. As always, go Canes.
Go
Have a good night,
Canes.
everybody.